Ah, there you are. Oh, my loved listeners, I love you all so much. Welcome back to Crafting a Meaningful Life. I'm Mary Crafts, and each and every week when I decide on what am I going to do on my podcast this week, I really let my life flow those things to me. I try not to be the one that's in charge and this is how we're going to run this podcast this week. I really let the universe throw to me, and I try and catch whatever they have for me that they'd like to share with the world. And this week I have my very dear friend Samira. Say hello to Samira.
Hello.
And Samira, you and I became connected through your wonderful organization, Women of the World. And I want to tell my listeners, I knew about you for a long time. But I didn't ever have the opportunity to meet you until you reached out to me and said, "Hi, I think we have some things in common. Why don't we get together? Come to my offices." And I agreed. We set up a time. But I think you've had this experience many times that I had, because when I shared it with you, and I've heard that before. I pulled up, I parked my car, I went in just like I always do. Hi, excited to meet someone. I opened the door, and this, I don't know how to describe it, this energy, this feeling, just like enveloped me and moved me in to the room, and was the most warm, loving energy. And I was like, wow, whatever's going on here, I love, and whatever's going on here, I want to be part of. And from that moment, I felt my heart just open up to you and all that you do. And I knew we were going to be connected for a very, very long time. And you had heard that before from other people, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And so let's start by telling everyone a little bit about you, Samira, and about your background and kind of what you're doing now. So everyone can see why I decided this was to be heard now on my podcast.
Um, so I came into United States in 1979 as an international student. I was unfortunately arranged marriage in my teen, and when I came to it was Logan, Utah, and at that time, 1979, it was Americans hostage in Iran, and everybody thought I'm Iranian, so they were pushing me around and telling me, "Go home. We don't want to teach you." If I'm in the I was studying engineering at that time, and there was like more than 100 students in the class, and the teacher would say, "I see someone is dark in here, looks like Iranian. Get out from the classroom before I teach it," even though I'm paying twice more than American student to be in there. So it was kind of really hard, to have a new husband to live with, and new country, a new language, a new regulation, in everything. It was new for me, and I was really, really desperately, I don't want to stay in here anymore. Just go to my hometown, back to Iraq. And at that time, Saddam came in, and the war. It was a sanction and war between Iran and Iraq, and all these things. And I do have, I used to take my daughter with me to the school, is because I cannot afford the daycare, because I'm paying twice more than American. So I used to take her with me, and everyone thought, this is my sister. And I said, no, this is my daughter. So I used to give it to the class, to my classmate, and when they don't have a class, so I could go, take my class without interruption. And I did this way, but the way I felt at that time, I don't trust anybody. I need someone to talk to that I trust. And the language, it was really hard for me. That's why I engineer, because numbers and theories and everything, is an Arabic way or an English way we do studying them is in English, numbers and all these things. So I didn't know how to speak loud enough to tell the people to stop calling me Iranian, even though I'm not Iranian at that time. So I had a lot of tough time, in my teen. but that time, it did not stop me from going to school, learning, and to be who I am today.
It's the principle that I talk about so much, Samira, when I talk about grit. You know, through hard times, we just have to have grit. That we
Yes,
find something that's important to us, and no matter what happens, we are going to stick to it. And it builds
exactly,
something inside of you. And that's what I see
exactly.
in you that's so beautiful is that resilience that it is built inside of you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, life is very tough. It make us stronger with all this problem. I used to be like even 20, 25 or 23. Someone asked me how old are you are. I said 60 or 65, this way. It's because of the way in a short time I became maturer and older, this
Mm.
way is because just like you said, the things I went through. So at that time, when I study, and it wasn't easy, to find a job in the one of the largest semiconductor in America to be a senior engineer in there to care of my 5 kids, and from there I said one day when I have my kids to go to college and I don't have anybody, to pay, to babysit or something like that. I wanted to have that time for me to follow my dream. And that's when it's not, even when I was in Iraq at 10 years old, I drew a picture of a woman that is trapped in a spider web and she's holding her arm up and screaming for help. And they asked me, they said, what's this all about, in this picture? I used to like, paint and do some kind of, what they call it is I feel like more relaxed when I do something is like painting. Anyway, so I remember I told them, the spider web is a society that trapped the women, and the woman she wanted to get out from it. And they say, well, the spider web is really, I mean, the lines is really easy to break. And I said, yeah, but it's sticky, still sticky on the shoulders. And we need to help the woman by picking up the spider lines from her shoulder and tell her to go forward. Is because always, unfortunately, the culture or the society is in us, inside us, even though we are far away from our culture and society, still we are thinking, are we doing the right things or not? Do I need to
Mm.
go forward and be, open my own non-profit organization to help women? Is it okay? Something like that. But I did was very strong actually, since I have a dream, and this dream I need to be accomplished before I leave this world. And of course, my new husband, that he was very supportive. And that's when I started Women of the World. It wasn't easy, of course. I was volunteering all over Salt Lake, in IRC, CCS, Asian Association, Enhancement Hospital as a medical interpreter. And I noticed the women, they said, we need someone to be our role model, to give, to be our voice, to be a leader for us, because they need that things, because their need is underfunded, unfortunately. And study about the nonprofit and study about how to be a good leader. And after that, I started Women of the World in 2009. And this is my dream, and I'm still living in my dream.
Yeah. I can just envision this spider web with the woman in there, like hands out and just hung up in there. And it was such a visual for me to see this woman trapped in this web. And it's not just one string of the web, it's
Exactly.
everywhere. And it's
Yeah.
for the size of the spider and for the size of the web. Spider webs are one of the strongest structures in the world. And yet, what might look to another like just break that, to the person who's stuck in the web, it's almost insurmountable. My
Yes.
admiration for you, Samira, is like off the charts because I see you as a woman who obviously you came from Iraq and immediately labeled as Iranian because to be honest, many of them the same skin color, the same eye color, all those kinds of things. And so I think it's why you and I now are so strong in the fight for oneness and for giving women the opportunity to be embraced here in the United States. So tell my listeners a little bit about Women of the World and your actual mission and how it relates to the experiences that you went through.
Exactly. As women coming from all over the world, they're coming with a different background, but their need is the same thing. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to have my kids to be in a good, give them a good life after what they lost behind, when they were in their country. So a lot of these things is attaching to my story, and even if they don't tell me all the details, I understand it from the first word that they are saying. And so Women of the World is women's refugee, asylum seeker, and immigrant nonprofit organization. We offer a boutique service and capacity building with the goal of getting our lady to be self-reliance. So we are not resettlement agency. We are actually helping the women during and after resettlement when they're done. So we have many successful story of the women, and to tell the audience that from being an engineer, and my husband, of course, the co-founder, he is an engineer. I do not want to see my work it doesn't have result. It has to be impacted. Coming from engineering brain and mind, if we don't answer any pager or any call, the company will lose $1 million. So for me I wanted to see my work. Is it done okay? Is the women, are they happy? Are we getting some numbers from the impact that we are doing? So we go forward for it. So that's one of the things is a lot of people, they approach me and they said, I don't know, in a short time you become so famous and it become, as I got award in the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland in 2018. And there were 450 people that were nominated from all over the world. And I was, they choose only one from each continent, and I was continent of Americas.
Yeah.
So when I was in Geneva, and I have all those, the NGO and the ambassadors, they asked, how did you do it? Especially when I'm 7 years, I don't have an office. My office is my car, my Honda Pilot, running around, the state of Utah, and helping the women everywhere, either job or doctors or any kind of advocacy they need. I done that. So yes, it has become very strong. And I came in from no office and no money to hire someone to help me. Today we have almost 10 staff, and a bigger office is not even fitting us. We are looking for a bigger office now. So, yeah.
So tell me some of the different things, the different programs that you offer within your organization. When I stopped in the first day, there were women there that just were looking for language, learning English. I came in and met, I travel a lot. I've been to over 40 countries, and most of them didn't speak English. So I know what that's like to try and communicate, but I was a tourist. I can't imagine living there and I need to buy food. I need to find shelter. How do I find a job? All those kinds of things without being able to speak the language. That must be one of your strongest programs.
Yes. So the other thing is, I found out from my, from beginning of the startup with the Women of the World, I found out, empowering women is not easy, especially if they're coming from different countries.
Yeah.
They don't have that self-confidence about themselves. So you have to build first self-confidence. And after that, you help them, to be empowerment. So with the, of course, listening to them is number one. To listen to them and to get them that trust.
Yeah.
you are listening to them, you know. So that's why I said when I came in, I couldn't trust anybody because no one isn't there around me to speak to. Or the language, you know, is really hard for us to explain our feeling. So that's when we have a practical English in our class, in our office. Practical English, that means I want to speak English right now. So the volunteer, they bring all the vocabulary that they needed and they teach them. There's no curriculum, there's no book or anything. Whatever the woman they wanted to learn at that moment, we teach her about that. So our three programs that lead to the self-reliance is customized service advocacy and capacity building, and second, economic empowerment, and third is a community development. Community is really very important. You see, the people that are coming from Ukraine now, when they come to our office and see another Ukrainian been in here for a while, and they have that connection right away.
Community,
you know, yes, yeah. And with the economic empowerment, what I mean about that, we help them, you know, to apply, to write a resume, apply for a job, or even open their own business. Customized service advocacy, customize, I say customize. A lot of people, they think, why will you customize that? If all of them is the same. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Every woman is individual, just like me and you, you know, so I treat them as an individual. I treat them about their need as an individual. So that's why we call it customized service. And of course, you know, these with the three programs, we have many women that you know, get a certification in the end of the year. Every December, the first Saturday, I do celebration to give a certificate for the women that reached their goals. That it make the other women sitting in the audience to be very excited to reach our goal for the next year, to receive that certificate. And the other thing is we love to have all youths to come, because those ladies, they think they are burden on us. So they wanted to see them in that event and bring their own food, you know, from a different country, and it's free for public to come, just to tell them, thank you so much for giving me the start from zero in here in your state. And we are thriving in here, and they wanted to tell them that we are not burden on you.
You know, I think of the one thing universally around the world that unite people is food.
Yes.
It's when you can break bread together and share that together. And when you come here, of course, there's only American food, which is a hodgepodge of everything around the world. And to be able to make something like food for someone and share it with them is one of the greatest acts of bonding that they can do. Absolutely. And I love that part. And I love that you are encouraging people to come and experience all these different countries. Tell me what kind of, what are the main countries that you're serving women from?
Is actually, I will say a majority, they're from Iraq, you know, because we have, and in Syria, because we have a Syrian case manager. And the Iraqi women, when they come over here, they feel very comfortable, is because I'm originally from Iraq. And they think, you know, I do understand them when they come over here. Yeah. So we have a variety, actually, you know.
Well, I know you work with the Afghanistan refugees. We got an influx of a huge influx of those last year. And to be able to send people to you and have you embrace them.
We were helping Afghan family from 2000, I think it was 2016 or 17. I'm sorry, 2015, because they've become American citizen now. So we have 100 families that we help. And those young ladies that already done with their English, and we do intensive English, and they go through intensive English with a short time, 2 months, they are able to be, you know, function in our society and to go to the next step. So when they come over here, I said, well, there's a new Afghan ladies that are coming today, and I want them to feel this is a community in here that they could support them and to be with them. And that's when they come over here, all of them, and they talk with each other and build that things, you know. Just like you said, the way you come to the office, how is I have someone
bring them in.
One professor came in actually from south of Utah, from St. George. I remember she came in to see me and she was crying by the door, crying, sobbing. And I said, whoa, what's going on? Did you get hurt or something like that? She said, no, this feeling is amazing, what I feel in there. So she see the women, how they come over here, and she saw them when they brought the food for everyone. They like to feed other new people around and tell them and help them, come in here and learn English. And we go out for the, like over the mountain and all these things. It's really great, to have that connection. And we all want community building, community gathering. And the other time we had eggs, workshop, how to paint, this famous egg painting
from the Ukrainian art. Yeah. Well, that's how you and I got involved, was through Ukraine. And it's amazing to me, Samira, how that, last January, when I received this vision of my mission, the rest of my life on this planet is to be about oneness. And then the Ukrainian war broke out, and I was one with those women. And I wanted to go, and I went and served. And then when I came back, there was so much of an outpouring of wanting to help. And so many people said to me, well, there are Ukrainians now going to be coming since we've opened the borders and to Ukrainians, and who can help? And I was like, and then someone reached out and said, well, you need to meet Samira. I go, okay. And then you reached out to me. I mean, it was just one circle of the universe reaching out and coordinating this thing so we could all come together. Yeah. And now the number of Ukrainian women that you are helping is so wonderful. And I loved your egg project when they all got together just to paint eggs from their country. To create something like that for them here, right here, is a truly bonding experience for them.
Yeah. I want to tell everyone, even the women when they come over here, this organization is not for me, it's for them. Created is for them to whatever they want, what kind of workshop they want. And that's when they're happy and they come over here and they go to the kitchen by themselves, get some tea, some crackers and coffee and all these things, and sit together and talk. And that's what they want. They wanted to get out to network with the other women and build that community between them, and especially when they variety from Afghanistan, from Nepal, from Burma, from all around Africa. When they meet together in here, they start to learn about their custom, about their culture, and all these things. Yeah.
And like you say, every woman has her own path, but yet so many of our paths are the same.
Exactly.
And we have so much in common. It's one thing to be refugee. Let's talk about that word refugee, first of all. Yeah. These are not people who are necessarily choosing to immigrate to the United States. It's not people who are coming across the borders without papers, for the most part. These are people who are fleeing terrorism, fleeing abuse, fleeing trauma in their lives, that in America, the kind of trauma we can't even begin to understand. And so they're seeking asylum here. And yet they want to be productive. That's one of the biggest things I saw in the difference of a refugee is they don't want to come here and be freeloaders. No. They want to come here. They want to start a life. They want to contribute to society. And I really don't know any refugee that's just sitting back and saying, all right, come on, take care of me now. That's just not who they are. Yeah. And to be able, but it's hard. It's hard to jump in and be a contributing member of society when you don't even know the basics. So to first form a community with others that are like them gives them the confidence then to step in to the community they're living in. But without this first, I've found it's almost impossible for people to step in to this crazy rat race kind of busy, really just insane life that we live sometimes. And they get just lost and I mean, truly lost, and then they
Yeah.
withdraw. And you intersect in the middle of that.
Yeah, you are right what you said, Mary. The things is sometimes you hear the people they ask, the refugee, are you safe now? Are you happy now? And they look at like that. What are you talking about? I don't know how to speak the language. I don't have a voice. I don't have the skills that to work. I'm a doctor. I cannot practice to be a doctor in here. Of course, we are not happy for that. Just like we said, it's not the they make them this way. I mean, to come over here is just like we said, oppression, poverty, war in their country, losing the loved one. But they have a few of them left. If a woman has three children, it came in only one child to wanted to give them that a better life and a better future. And it's really amazing. I learned from them that even losing someone, loved one in your life, life goes on. And it's really hard for me to accept that. But I see them that are doing that. The one. They lost the only child, a boy, in suicidal bomber, and the husband too. And she came in with only one child, her daughter, and to build that a better life for her. So they are really need to be recognized, and they need to be people to say hello to them and be friend with them. They're just like you said, they don't want to be in here because they become poorer because of the language, because of the regulation in here and all these things. Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know if they speak English, but when I see someone who's obviously from another country, it is amazing the power of a smile.
Yeah.
Just to look at them and let them know that I see you.
Yeah.
And then to spread into a big smile. And the response is never like, oh, don't look at me, or like, oh, I don't know. They just smile back.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of smile that stays with them. Stays with them all day.
Yeah.
I want to talk for just a minute, Samira, about people, women like you, men like you. And this, when I say like you, I want to explain that. Who are professional people, who have a college education, who have very profitable careers, who have now merged into the life. And this is not only people like you, but people who were born U.S. citizens who all of a sudden, well, maybe it's not all of a sudden, but somehow they recognize and they acknowledge this call. They feel moved. Yeah. To not just worry about themselves and, hey, I'm comfortable, I'm making enough money, I don't need to worry about anybody else. Don't talk to me. But something breaks through and they're like, I think there's something else for me to do. And then they step in to this world of NGO. And for those of you who don't know, I didn't know what NGO when I first got into this world of helping people. And so when someone kept saying NGO, I actually took my phone and in the meeting, I'm Googling, what is an NGO? So that I could participate. And then it came up, nonprofit organization. I was like, oh, duh, of course. It's an NGO is a nonprofit organization. But even I didn't know, and I had been in this world of nonprofit. But so many of you answer a call. I want to talk to you about what is it that some people just answer that and walk away from a life of not luxury, but a life of sustained good to choose this. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I was in Geneva, actually, Geneva, Switzerland, when they did the live interview with me, they said, did you lose your mind? When you left 6 figures, position, a house, and all these things, and you start that? And I said, I did not lose my mind. The things is what, it has to be humanitarian in inside of us, inside everybody in there. I'm an activist. Always I go on the street and go to Washington, D.C. and take women with me and fight for the women's rights. And when I see the women that came in here with their family, they've been treated unfairly, they've been pushed away, they go home. This is the first things when I came into Utah. I got, literally doors shut on my face and tell me, take your homeless away from our state and get out. It's because we have enough homeless. Yes, I did put from my money, my husband's money, to this for 7 years as a volunteer. And it's still, if I wanted to have the money, and lecture and everything, I go and be an engineer again. I need everybody to understand it. I didn't do it because I want to get money from it or famous or getting award or something like that. I did it just to see those women after they saw female genital mutilation, rapes, war, oppression, everything is impact women first and everything. And that's when I want to tell them, I'm here for you. Even though I didn't have the things that they want, like, let's say I want a car, I want a TV or whatever. I said, I cannot afford that. I'm just offered the money that because you don't have Medicaid, so I could buy you medicine and all these things. And I pick you up in my car and go and look for a job for you. So it's kind of, I don't know how to explain. For me, this is my passion. And this is what I love about. I remember many times people, they come and pat on my shoulder, when you going to give up? In fact, it did not make me when I'm gonna give up, because I'm educating the American, the state about those amazing neighbor. There are new neighbors in here in our state, bring all their experience, and so much they bring to our state. And I wanted to actually tell you about the impact that we done. And even though with the COVID 2020, 2021, we never did to close. And the way is women, they lost their job is because they work in, hotels, restaurants,
right. Hospitality.
These places close first. And they come crying to the office, how I'm going to pay the bill. Or my son wanted to take him to the doctor or something like that. So that's when we were open, and the impact that we done, through the economic empowerment that has increased our ladies' income by $1 million. And the organization is not even close to $500,000. But how did this happen? By finding a better job, by being through the SLIC and taking a certificate. We pay for this scholarship, and they went and they get a better job and pay back to the economy in Utah. So I'm not only educating the women from a different country, we are educating the American people around us. And I want the state to be high with the economy and everything, and that's when the women they give. And every $1 is invested with the women of the world. The women bring back to the community $3.18. So
hold it right there. I want people to hear that again, because I think that is phenomenal. So for every dollar that we invest in women of the world and in refugees, they return to our economy $3.18?
Yes.
That's incredible. I would like to have an investment where I'm making that kind of return on my dollar. That's amazing.
Yes, it's true. Just like I said, if you go to the website, womenofwar.org, not there, in there, womenofwar.org, and see the impact reports in our website and show that. And again, it's because as an engineer, I don't want it to have my work, whatever I'm doing in here, spending hours, 24 hours with my life, and dedicate myself 100% for this kind of help for the women coming from different countries or different status, it has to be a result from it. If it doesn't, I don't go on with this organization. So I wish, everyone go in there and look at that, So, yeah.
So as we wind this down, unfortunately our time is about up, but I want to do two things. And one is that my listeners who have been listening today, if you wonder if there's a call inside of you, and maybe it's not that you're just going to walk away from your corporate world and pick up and start an NGO or work for an NGO. Maybe you're just looking for, how can I help even a little bit now? How can people help your organization or step into this world of nonprofit doing good in the world? I remember one of my favorite movies when I was little was Wizard of Oz. And in the end, when the wizard gives the gifts to all the characters, and to the Scarecrow, he gives the gift of being a philanthropist. And the Scarecrow steps back and says, I don't know what that is. And he said, it's a good deed doer. And when, as a little child, I thought to myself, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a good deed doer. And bit by bit, my life has turned and led to this point. So how can people find out a little bit more about your organization and how they can help?
Yes, sure. So we have on in the website, it has, how can I help in there? And you fill application and comes to us, and do orientation the first Monday of every month about the what kind of, about talk about women of the world and what kind of help you do. We always look for mentor, for the women, especially now with the, a lot of Afghan and Ukraine coming.
Yeah.
And so we want someone to come mentor those either in our office or to meet with them in the home and be a friend with them. So this is really important, the mentoring and English language. I mean, a lot of people, they say they want to volunteer. I never did teach English. And I said, but you speak English, your language is English. And you're going to talk to them in English. This is what make it easy. Because always they have the communication. They are afraid to speak up is because maybe they pronounce the word wrong. So that's why they come to our office and learn about that. And to tell the audience is that, a strong community recognize that everyone is a human, just like you and I. And forcibly displaced people have suffered many misfortune, losing their home, country, and even their loved ones.
Yeah.
But never their dignity and determination. They always have that. Since this state helped me, I wanted to do something back to them.
One of the things that you're doing that I am very excited to attend is you're doing a Women of the World fashion show.
Fashion show, yes.
And so I would really encourage people to buy tickets for that and to come. It's so affordable. And tell us about what's going to happen there.
Sure, yeah. So the fashion show I started actually 2009 when I don't have an office. So it was in the street, in Liberty Park and everywhere I do the fashion show in there, to educate the youths about who are your new neighbors and how they are thriving in our state, and teach them geography, history, language about those ladies, So so the fashion show, it's what they call it is not only to show their beauty, not only from their features or clothing, but from the amazing courage to find a better life in Utah. So we give them the opportunity to represent their country and to say where are they at now, either studying master's degree or bachelor degree or, so we do give a scholarship from one of the anonymous women from Oregon giving us for 5 years and that's what we do so a fashion show is amazing.
I love that they all get to come in their native dress. I'll come in my native dress, American. Okay. But that we get to see these women who are lifting themselves up, and we get to support them and share in that. And I think this year it's that This Is the Place.
Yes, we find the place. Yes, this is the place actually in International Women's Day, the 8th on Wednesday is going to be. So celebrating
November 8th,
International
right?
Women's Day.
Yeah,
Sorry?
November 8th, yeah.
No, it's March.
Oh, next March. It's not till next
Yes.
March. Oh,
Yeah, next
okay.
March. So
Great.
a lot of people, they were very happy this year when they came in and they went to bring their friends. But we said we want only 150 maximum because of COVID. So they wanted to have 500 people to come. So it's going to be, this is the place. And
That's great.
in International Women's Day, we always celebrate International Women's Day with the fashion show. Yeah.
What a great way to celebrate International Women's Day. All right,
Yeah.
so let's give your website. It's also a link at the end of the podcast if people want to learn more about the women of the world. I think your address is simply womenoftheworld.org.
So no, there with the when you go to the website, you go Women of World.
Women of World, not Women of the World. Women of World. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay, womenofworld.org.
Yeah, because there's another British organization called Women of the World. So a lot of people get confused. So there's no there and there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I will look forward to seeing you many times in advance of March, but I will look forward to seeing as many listeners as possible at Women of the World next March. And Samira, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thankful for the woman you are. And I'm also grateful for all of those who answer the call to help and lift. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us today.
Listen to the full podcast today and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. Crafting a Meaningful Life with Mary Crafts.